Peace to the 12. Y'all see the title, Boston Blackface. And it's exactly what you think it is. Okay, this is a picture of the Boston Tea Party. And I'm going to tell you, yeah, they dressed up in blackface. Okay? And on this video, I'm going to show you picture evidence. I'm going to show you book evidence. I'm going to get a couple scriptures. I'm going to show y'all scientific data proving what I'm about to say. And we're going to touch on the N-word as well as the word Indian. All right, so let's get straight to it. But yes, the Boston Tea Party, so-called, was in fact done in blackface. All right, you see the artwork I put up right here. All right, it was done in blackface. And the reason I have these little fishnets right here in this image is because they also dressed up in drag. Okay, show you that they've always been into that lifestyle choice. All right, I've done videos of this in the past too. I did a video called Black Carolina Indians, and I did a video titled Black Aztecs. So y'all can watch that if y'all want more after that. But we're gonna get to it. So this is from the History Channel. All right, you see this logo is for the History Channel. It came on the TV. Probably still do. I don't have TV, but probably still does. The History logo. It's the History website. All right, and I believe the actual article was titled 7 Things You Didn't Know About the Boston Tea Party. But I'm just going to focus on the number 5 part because that's the only part that's relevant to this video. So let's start it off. All right, let's read this. The Sons of Liberty, famous, masqueraded in Native American dress on the night of the Tea Party raid, complete with tomahawks and faces darkened with coal soot. So they darkened their faces with coal soot. Just to put it in perspective, yes, they darkened themselves in blackface for sure. Because it says their face was darkened with coal soot. Just to put it in perspective, this is what it looks like when you darken your face with coal soot. All right, this is a photo of somebody with soot on his face. And this is a photo of someone with soot on his face. So this is what happens when you darken your face. All right, so they put on blackface. Yes, they did. And let me say this too also. I'm not really going to go into this on the video, but I might do this at another time. But you had some certain people that were amongst the founding fathers that were so-called black. Okay, when they were forming the rebellion against the British Empire, you had so-called black people that were present there. That's another video for another day. And also, let me say this: when you talk about the colonials that were fighting the Minutemen, you had so-called black Minutemen, and you had so-called black loyalists. All right, which were the people that were loyal to the British Crown. But that's another video for another day. But I just wanted to say that too. Now let's go down to here. Not likely, says Cart. For starters, it was customary in 18th century England for protectors to cross-dress, or protesters to cross-dress. So they was dressing up in cross-dress. Like I said, they was living they was living that lifestyle. They was cross-dressing, man. All right? In one way or another. Blackening their faces, dressing as women, or even Catholic priests to create an atmosphere of misrule. Yeah, whatever you say, man. I ain't never got mad and said, F this, I'm going to dress up as a woman. But you know what? That shows you that they still do that now, because what you call so-called punk rock, which is really just, organize people to basically tell your children to be rebellion. All right, put that energy out there of rebellion, that atmosphere of rebellion. The so-called punk rockers, they dress up in drag, or they cross-dress. They wear women's clothing. Even before that, you have the singer Prince. He wore women's clothing. You have this band. Let me look them up real quick. You have the band Twisted Sister, and even now you got Young Thug. All right, you had this group at the time that was known as Twisted Sister. Let's see if I can get a picture real fast. Look at this. Yeah, this group called Twisted Sister, and this was their lead singer. So Esau carried it on, man. Esau carried that out back in the day too, apparently. But yeah, it was called Twisted Sister. They had a song called We're Not Gonna Take It. But anyway, before I get off topic. So they blacken their faces with coal soot. This is what coal soot looks like. They was in blackface. Now you would ask, wait, why was they in blackface? I'll tell you why. Because the so-called Indians of Boston were so-called black. All right, they dressed up in blackface, but I'm gonna prove that. All right. So first we have the 13 colonies. All right, these are the 13 colonies in order. All right, I'm just gonna focus on Virginia, Massachusetts, Delaware, South Carolina, and North Carolina. Massachusetts being the most important. Why? Because Boston is located in Massachusetts. But we're going to tackle Massachusetts at the end. First, we're going to look up the Carolinas. All right, the Carolinas. We're going to see what the Carolina Indians look like. All right, these are the 13 colonies. All right, so you're going to find out that first I'm going to prove to you that there were, in fact, so-called black Indians in these regions here. This is a guy by the name of Giovanni da Verrazzano. He was an Italian explorer. All right. In the 1600s, he was in the 1500s, he was an Italian explorer. So back in the 1500s. Now, mind you, the Boston Tea Party took place in the 1700s. So this is back in the 1500s. So all the way back into the 1500s, he's gonna document so-called black people, so-called black Indians in the Carolina region. Let's deal with it. All right, this is his book, or this was his letter or memoir, whatever you want to call it, titled "The Written Record of the Voyage of 1524." So he wrote this in 1524 of Giovanni da Verrazzano, as recorded in a letter to Francis I, King of France, July 8th, 1524. Now let's get to what he says. We're gonna go straight down to here. All right, this is his description of the Carolina Indians. He says, they are dark in color. Some use the word black. Yeah, I've mentioned this before in previous videos. A lot of times when they remodel a translation, they use terms like dark in color or dark skin because they don't want to use the word black, because they don't want the so-called black man to have his eyebrows raised and be like, wait, so you're saying they were black? I've mentioned that before. They try to do that with the Egyptians. I did a video on the Egyptians, but anyway, they are dark in color. Some use the word black. But we're going to prove that they were black, okay? This is what he said now. Pay attention. They are dark in color, not unlike the Ethiopians. So he's saying they're dark in color, not unlike the Ethiopians, meaning they had the same skin complexion as the Ethiopians, okay? Not very, with thick black hair, not very long, tied back behind the head, like a small tail. Like, today you would call it the so-called man bun, all right? All right. He says no on the use of the dark rather than black. Yeah, like I said, albinos will often use words of their own liking as a means of hiding black people in history. Exactly. All right. It all depends on the person's level of racism. Comparison to Ethiopians, of course, ends all debate. Yes, it does. Okay. Comparison to Ethiopians does, in fact, end all debate. Let me get a picture real quick because I didn't include it. But, I mean, it was pretty obvious what an Ethiopian looked like, but I'm going to get it anyway. Bear with me 1 second. Get y'all something to look at while I'm looking it up. Let's just get a broad picture. Right? Let's just get a broad picture real fast. I typed in dark-skinned Ethiopians. Just to get y'all a picture real quick. So he said they look just like this, like dark-skinned Ethiopians. Okay? Which brings me to the point. He said, not unlike the Ethiopians. So, look at these dark skins. So, let's look up the word Ethiopian. All right, for those of you that don't know, Ethiopia, in the Bible, the father of the Ethiopians is known as Cush. His name was Cush. The word Cush means black. All right? The land of Cush is Ethiopia. The term Ethiopia translates literally to land of the blacks. Ethiopia means country of burnt faces, and or it means the land of the blacks. Cush means black. Ethiopia means the land of the blacks, right? In ancient Egyptian inscriptions, Ethiopia is termed Kesh. All right. The Hamite races, soon after their arrival in Africa, began to spread north, east, and west. These branches of the Cushites of Ethiopian stock. All right, so in other words, Ethiopian is a fancy word of saying black. The word Cush means black. The word Ethiopia means land of the blacks. All right, let me deal with this too. It says they are frequently represented on Egyptian monuments, and they all are the type of the true Negro. That's actually incorrect, because according to the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, Negroes are a completely different race. All right, and that brings me to what I'm going to say next. All so-called black people are not of the same race. I've made this statement many times, but let's just get this. Compact Bible Dictionary. Ham, the youngest son of Noah, the progenitor of the dark races. Now remember, Ham, yeah. The Cushites, Hamite races. Now it says, Ham, the youngest son of Noah, progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Libyans, and Canaanites. But it says, not the Negroes. So that tells you right there that there's a distinction between the Negroes and other so-called dark races, specifically the Hamites. All right, I did a whole video on this to break it down even further. I did a video 5 days ago called Two Kinds of People. It was an hour video proving who the Shemitic people are, who the Israelites are. You can watch that for more on that. But also let it be known that when this guy says not unlike the Ethiopians, know this also, that back in the ancient world, Ethiopian was just a colloquialism that the so-called white man used to define all Greeks. Look, it says all black Africans were known as Ethiopians to the ancient Greeks. So they just called Africans Ethiopians. So he might not even meant like the Ethiopians. He could have been talking about some other African thing. And for those people that heard what I just said and about all black people are all not the same, and they want to go clicky-clack in my comments, well, let me do this real easy. Let's do this real easy, right? You have a Chinese person, an Arab or an Arabian person, and an East Indian person, right? All right. All of these people are from Asia, but but you and I call them all the same people. You would be like, oh, but you're all Asian, right? No, they're gonna look at you like you're dumb, man. And another further note, we're gonna find out what the original Indians look like, and I'm gonna do a video on the Arabs real soon. But so in the same way, when they say, you don't say, oh, we're all Asians. You don't be like, oh, we're all African. Okay? For the same way that just because they're all so-called black doesn't mean they're the same people. Now, all that being said, let's move on. Where was that? Oh, he said this is him talking about the Carolina Indians, right? So him talking about the Carolina Indians, he said they were black, not unlike the Ethiopians. We went over that. And he's talking about the Carolina Indians. So there's a group of Carolina Indians that's actually in pictures known as the Yamasee tribe. This is the Yamasee tribe, which is clear as day they're black. All right. Dutch painter Peter Schenk, painting of the Yamasee War, the full title translated from the Dutch. The gruesome attack of the Indians. The gruesome attack of the Indians on the English in Carolina, West Indies, 15 April 1715. Okay? So, these are what these Carolina Indians look like. It's pretty point blank. Now, let's get some more on the Yamasee tribe. This is a video or a book that I've mentioned many times. It's a book by Kimberly R. Norton, and it's titled Black People Are Indigenous to the Americas, Research Material for the Inquisitive. All right, and I believe this was on page 61, I believe, of this book, where it talks about the Yamasee tribe. All right, by the way, let me go back. This book, when it says research material for the inquisitive, this book is literally just a reference point for other books. All right, it's basically citing other books and what they stated. All right, their statements proving that so-called black people were already in America, which of course they were. But the Yamasee tribe, right? The Yamasee or the Jamasee were one of a small number of isolated tribes of dark complexion, found widely scattered among the inhabitants of North and South America. So they was all throughout the Americas. Supposed to have been immigrants from Africa prior to the European discovery of America. So they said they're supposed to be immigrants from Africa prior to the discovery of America. Do I believe that? No, I do not. But notice he is linking the Yamasee tribe with so-called Africans, supposed to have been immigrants from Africa prior to the European discovery of America, which shows you that they beat Columbus. All right, even though Columbus never even stepped foot on America. That's another video for it of itself. But Columbus stepped foot on the islands, but he did not step foot on North America. You know, so most of y'all know that anyway. But if this be, it explains why Dealu persisted in slave hunting about Bayfort 1520. So in 1520 they were slave hunting. These Negroes, he called them Negroes. Remember? Now hold on. Not progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes. Well, he just called the Yamasee, he called them Negroes, valuable as laborers. So he wanted to enslave the Yamasee. And this is a guy right here in modern day who still identifies as a Yamasee. All right, the Yamasee Muskegee Nation. As clear as day as a so-called black man. All right, now this is a book, or this is a guy by the name of Arnoldus Montanus, born in 1625 in Amsterdam, Netherlands. And he stated, and he made a book titled "The New and Unknown World." All right, where he talks about the so-called black people that were there. I didn't get the picture, but if you ever look up this guy, you look up his works, there's so-called black people portrayed as Indians, but as they call them, copper colors. But just to give you a couple pictures, right? Look at this, clear as day, right? Clear as day. Let me read this real fast. It says, drawing of the original inhabitants of Paraguay. The original inhabitants of Paraguay from the book America. This is from the book America, being the latest and most accurate description of Nev world, containing the original of the inhabitants and the remarkable voyages thither. The conquest of the vast empires of Mexico and Peru and other large provinces and territories with atlases by John Ogleby. All right, 1671. Now, once again, clear as day. All right, so-called blacks. I say so-called black because black is not a race. Black is not a black is not a nationality. It is a skin color. All right, that's why I say so-called black. You have many people that are classified as so-called black that are completely different stocks, completely different races. Like once I get in the farther part of this video, I'm gonna show you the original Indian too. And when I say Indian on that account, I'm talking about the India from India, or the Indian from India. All right, once again, so-called black people. Look at these people. All right. It's title, Reckons Edita Todius Novi Belgi, an American Septen Reanali Sitai. I don't know how to pronounce. That's just some other language. But map maker, Matthias Suter, 1735. The map is based upon Jansen's map of 1651. Suter replaces the Restitio view of New York City with a new view of New York entitled Dia Javal New Amsterdam, so New York, with the key of the view of the Latin. All right, note that the native New England people are blacks. All right, are blacks. They don't look like the they don't look like the Native Americans you see today, so-called. Well, actually they do, because I was in Beaver's Bend the other day. For y'all don't know, Beaver's Bend is in Oklahoma. I was in there and I saw some dark-skinned so-called Native Americans. I saw a whole bunch of them when I was swimming, you know. And let me say this too. Nowadays, you can't go off of just skin color determining one's race, because people have been mingled amongst the other nations. I've made videos on that in time past. I did a video titled "You Are Who Your Father Is," but that's just me saying that. So before somebody get on here and say you're talking about my identity, listen, man, listen. Chill. But so that's Carolina. Showed you some New York quote unquote Indians, the Yamasee tribe. Now we're gonna go to something that's not in the 13 colonies, but it's close to that region. I'm gonna show you the country of Maine. This is Bartholomew Gosnold. Let's see what Bartholomew Gosnold had to say. 1571, United Kingdom. Moved to James. He died in Jamestown, 1607. Let's see what Bartholomew Gosnold had to say about the state of Maine. All right. This is Bartholomew Gosnold. Now remember, this is from the same book, Black People Are Indigenous to the Americas, by Kimberly R. Norton. I don't remember what page this was on. I guess 24 and 23, I guess. Bartholomew describes the Indians on Cape Neddock, Maine, as being black swart complexion. This is during March 1602. All right, he says he found 6 Indians. You go down to here. He says people are of tall stature. People are of tall stature, broad and grin visage, of black swart complexion. So he says these Indians were of a black swart complexion. This word swart, S-W-A-R-T. Let's look up that word swart in the 1755 Samuel Johnson Dictionary. It's the word swart. Swart means black, darkly brown, or tawny. All right, so tawny is equated with black as well. The word swarthy, dark of complexion, black, dusky, tawny. The swarthy African complain. All right, so African, swarthy. All right, he was telling you that, yes, the main Indians were black, so-called black. Now let's look up the Virginia Indians, the so-called Virginia Indians, which is part of the 13 colonies in order. Virginia Indians, so-called. Let's get that. This is from George Weymouth. George Weymouth, born in 1585, died in 1612. He did not live very long, but look what he said. George Weymouth, coast of Maine, north part of Virginia. This is where we focus on, the north part of Virginia. 1605, northern part of Virginia. He goes here, he calls them black savages. He says, they were very well favored in proportion of countenance, though colored black, low of stature, fat, bareheaded as the men, very fat. But he says, colored black. They were so-called black-skinned. Let's go to Delaware. Delaware also. Did I mark? Delaware also is in the 13 colonies. Let's see what the Delaware natives look like. This is a painting of the black Lenape Delaware tribe Indians. As you can see, they're dark as hell, if you couldn't tell. And this is titled The Massacre of the Christian Indians. All right, this is from the Book of Historical Collections of the Great Rest by Henry Hove. In 1852, Chronicle of 1781, Murder of the Unarmed Moravian Christian Lenape Indians. And as you can see, look at their complexion. So that's for the Delaware. And also there are emblems you can look up. There are emblems you can also look up. Let's get some more paintings. Emblems you can look up titled An Emblem of America, 1798 British Museum. You can type this on your phone. It's called An Emblem of America, 1798 British Museum. And it's going to give you different paintings that are found in the British Museum. Now, this is an emblem of America. An emblem of America. Don't you see this person? So-called white woman. Look at the 2 children. They have on the headdresses, the native headdresses, but they are super dark skinned. Okay, let's get some more imagery, and there are many paintings you guys can look up. I believe this one is a picture of the California Indian, or this is titled "The Emblem of Africa," allegedly. But this is Moors in America, Moorish Americans, an emblem of America. All right, look at this. So-called black dude, black man, an emblem of America, right here. Now, in this painting in particular, they try to say, "Oh, look, this is an African because she has on the leopard skin." But this leopard skin could actually be from the ocelot, which is found in North America. All right, the ocelot was found in North America. You know, but let's keep going. All right, now let's get that scientific evidence. We're 20 minutes in. Let's get that scientific evidence. This is a study from Nature. This is genetic evidence for 2 founding populations of the Americas. Now, I'm going to get to the point where it says the earliest Americans, meaning the first. It reads, the earliest American skeletons, which share traits with present-day Australians, indigenous groups in Australia, Melanesis, and the islands of Southeast Asia. All right. So he says the earliest American skeletons share traits with the Australians. All right. Native Americans descended partly from Native American founded population that carried ancestry more closely related to indigenous Australians, New Guineans, and the Andaman Islanders than to any present-day Eurasians or Native Americans. You see that? So it says they share things with New Guineans, Australians, so on and so forth, and the Amin Islands. Well, I'm gonna show you what all three of these people look like, saying they share DNA. Who they say they share DNA with. These are indigenous Australians. These are indigenous New Guineans, and these are the Andaman Islanders. All right. Which, by the way, the Andaman Islanders are known to be related to the Ainu people in Japan. In Japan, there's some people known as the Ainu people. I think it's spelled Ainu. The Ainu people. They say that the original Japanese. Well, if you ever research, it'll tell you that the Ainu have relation to the Andaman Islanders, which means what? Which means the people that look like this were in the lands of Japan at some point in time past. But yeah, it says New Guineans, Australians, and Andaman Islanders closely related to, meaning they look like these people right here. All right, now, which brings me to the whole point of this video, which was the Boston BlackFace, Well, since I already mentioned some so-called natives in Virginia, Delaware, North Carolina, South Carolina, let's touch on Massachusetts, which Boston is part of. Right? Let's look at what they look like. This is the Wampanoag. I don't know if I'm saying it right. The Wampanoag tribe, Boston Indian tribe. The Mashpee Wampanoag tribe, also known as the people of the first light, has inhabited present-day Massachusetts and eastern Rhode Island for more than 12,000 years. For more than 12,000 years, the Wampanoag tribe. Now, mind you, the earliest American skeletons were related to the Australians, New Guineans, and the Andaman Islanders. So they look like this. So if they were there for 12,000 years, that means the Wampanoag tribe was in this category. And this is a picture of the Wampanoag tribe. Look, dark-skinned. This is according to Britannica. These are modern people of the Wampanoag tribe, twin sisters. All right, they have a disputed membership. Why? Because they try to say, "Oh, you can't be so-called Indians. You're black." Which at the end of this video, I'm gonna touch on the word Indian. All right, now look, black Indians of the Wampanoag and African heritage. Look at that. Native Americans in Indian country, black Indians. Okay, so and just in case you forgot, they dressed up in blackface for the Boston Tea Party, and they cross-dressed, and they darkened their face with coal soot, which means they were wearing blackface, which is what that means. All right, they blackened their faces and dressed as women. They was in blackface. All right, but we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going. So why does all this happen? Oh, there's some more so-called black Indians. But our enemies want to cut us off from being a nation that's remembered. That's why they don't tell you this in history. That's why they tell you that you only come from West Africa, from a slave ship. Even though you had many so-called free blacks in America. That's another video for another day. But Psalms 83 verse 1 on down. 4 is what I want, but Psalms 83 verse 1. Keep not thou silence, O God, hold not thou peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may no more be in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. The next verse gives you the list of the nations that are against us. All right. Another word for nation is race, by the way. Let's prove that. Real quick. Let me go to etymology. Just to prove that. Another word for nation is race. Slovakia. Let's prove that. All right. They are confederate against thee. The word nation means a race of people. Nation, race of people, nation. So they have consulted together all the other nations, which then translates to the races of peoples, so-called. They have said, let's cut them off for being a nation, that the name of Israel may no more be in remembrance, which is why they just want you to think that you were a slave and that you are a nobody in history. All right. Now, speaking of scripture, speaking that we went to America, let's get 2 Ezra 13-39, which says, And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanazar, the king of Assyria, led away captive. And he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen, and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. So they went to a further country where never mankind dwelt. Where's that? Ding, ding, it's America, the Americas. All right. For they might keep their statutes. And it couldn't be Africa, by the way, when it says they went to another country where never mankind dwelt. It couldn't have been Africa because we'd already been to Africa. We were exited out of Africa via the Exodus. We left Egypt. So it could have been Africa. It couldn't have, that's pretty plain in of itself. But couldn't have been Asia. That's where we came from originally. So, where's that? And they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow places of the river, for the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Arsareth. Once again, that is the Americas, and it also shows you that it couldn't have been the Middle East, or it couldn't have been Africa, because the Middle East and Africa are very close together. It wouldn't have took no damn year and a half to get there. So once again, it is talking about the Americas. Okay, now let me touch on this term Indian while I'm here. Okay, let me touch on this term Indian, because that word gets thrown around a lot. But what does it really mean? Well, first let's look at this book by Achilles Tatius, a Greek author, Achilles Tatius. Let's see what he had to say about Indians. All right. He was in the 2nd century AD. All right, so about 200 AD, right? See what he had to say. This is book 3. He was on an Egyptian boat. Let's go down here. It's blurry, but I'm going to read it for y'all. But already the place was full of terrifying savage men, all tall, dark-colored, yet not absolutely black like an Indian. So he says they were tall and dark-colored, but they weren't absolutely black like an Indian. The word absolutely means completely. They weren't completely black like an Indian, but more like a bastard Ethiopian, meaning mixed. So he says yet not absolutely black like an Indian. So that shows you that in the time of 200 AD, that shows you that the so-called Indians were all dark-skinned. He said, and this is talking about Indians from India. Okay? He said not absolutely black like an Indian. All right, the term Indian, inhabitant of India or South Asia, applied to aboriginal native inhabitants of the Americas. Also is applied to inhabitants of the Philippines and indigenous peoples. All right, now why would it be? So he said not absolutely black like the Indians from India, right? That's what he said. All right, now this term Indian, you know what another word they called the Indians? They called the Indians the N-word. Let's prove that. This is the Facts on File Encyclopedia Word and Phrase Origins, 4th edition. I got the game from Kirameo Ahau on this one. And he says the N-word, all right, when used by a white person to describe a black or African person. Now we're going to go down to here. The N-word, I have to say N-word, I can't say the real word because of YouTube. N-word has also been an offensive, derogatory term applied to Indians, as well as blacks up until recent times. And what does the N-word really mean? It means black. That's what it means. It means black. Latin niger, black. And the word niger is in the Bible too. I'm going to get that in a minute. But he said not absolutely black like an Indian. That shows you that the Indians were dark-skinned at the time. And they are still over there in the land of India. The dark-skinned Indians. Okay? They are still over there. And now you understand why Christopher Columbus called them Indians. These are original women, Aboriginal women of India. Okay? Aboriginal women of India. Okay? Aboriginal women of India. Now you would understand why they were also called the N-word. Okay? Okay? Now it also mentioned that it was applied, the word Indian was applied to Philippines, the people of the Philippines. Well, we're going to get to Aboriginal people of the Philippines in a minute. But let's get another dictionary. Dictionary of American Regional English. This is dealing with the N-word again. Used on any other white person, especially an American Indian. So the N-word was especially compared to an American Indian. The N-word, by the way, means black. It literally means black. Okay? Heathen engine N-words. Now, I also said the Indian was applied to who? Indian was also applied to indigenous people of the Philippines. Why is that? Well, look here. N-word equals Filipinos. Well, why would they say that? Look at the original Filipinos. These are known as the Ada people, spelled A-E-T-A, the Ada people. All right? They are the indigenous people. They say they are the original people of the Philippines. And as you can see, they are so-called dark-skinned. They are so-called black. All right? As you can see, you can look up more pictures of them on your own. These are the Ada peoples, the indigenous tribe of the Philippines. All right, and like I told you, the N-word is also in the Bible. Latin, niger, black, N-word, right? It's also in the Bible. Let's prove that real fast. Acts 13:1. Acts 13:1. Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers as Barnabas and Simon, that was called Niger, and Lucius of Cyrene and Manaen, which had been brought up with Herod the Tetrarch and Saul. So he was called Niger, and he was a prophet. All right, the term Niger equals black, according to Blue Letter Bible Dictionary. Niger equals black, surname of the prophet Simon. In order to be the prophet, you have to be an Israelite, which shows you what the Israelites were. What exactly? Eastern Bible Dictionary, Niger, black, a surname of Simon. He was probably so called from his dark complexion. All right, there's also a place in Africa, Niger, West Africa. It's a country. All right, so West African country called Niger. Yeah, look at that. Niger, country in West Africa. All right, African nation, Niger. Nigeria. Okay. Negro. The term Negro, member of the black skin race of Africa. Black, Negro. Nominative, Niger. So Niger and Negro are synonymous. Okay. Nominative means relating to. So Niger is relating to the word Negro. It's another translation, all right? Renames. Nominative is what that means, right? And that's pretty much, I got a couple more. There's this game called Atomic Heart. They got in trouble for a racist cartoon of a racist caricature of a black native and African tribesman, allegedly. And as you can see, look what he's wearing. All right. Now this is another book real quick before I get out of here called Population of the United States, 1860. Now I want to get this part right here. He says African race in the midst that it has been the perpetuity of the Indian on its border. And that has been the case in all other countries on this continent when the blacks let me highlight that. Where the blacks were once numerous. So the blacks were once numerous, meaning plentiful, on this continent and other countries. All right, the blacks were once numerous. The colored population in America. All right, so he says the blacks were numerous. All right, you see that? Then, of course, there's a picture of a Blackfoot Indian. There's a picture of a Blackfoot Indian. Yeah, you wonder why they call him Blackfoot. This is a picture of a Chippewa. Pay attention to the person on the far left. And this is a picture of Angela Davis. All right, they favor each other. But that's it on this video, man. I ain't trying to get too long with it. Hopefully that was edifying. If you guys have any books or anything like that, you can put that in the comments. But yeah, they dressed up in blackface for Boston Tea Party. And hopefully this was an edifying lesson. With that, I say peace to the 12. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father, the Most High Yahawah, in the name of His only begotten Son, yahawashi. Yahawah being the name of the Heavenly Father, who is commonly known as God. Yahawashi is the Savior of the nation of Israel, who is commonly known as Jesus Christ. I want to say shalom, which means peace to you people listening and learning, people doing this work, truth, sincerity, and you elders have been doing this thing before me, man. I say shalom to y'all. Keep studying. Find out your real history, man. Find who you really are, man. All right? And don't believe what this devil was talking about. Peace.